many people didn't cancel Amber Heard just because she's a woman and Johnny Depp shouldn't be such a pussy. Johnny Depp shouldn't be such a pussy. Did you know about all that shit?
She was abusing.
She was beating the fuck out of him all the time and screaming at him and yelling at him and all kinds of shit. And then she said that he was doing it when they broke up, and everybody was like, Johnny Depp's a piece of shit.
That's probably more likely.
And then he really didn't say much, and then it finally came out like later after court and everything. He was the one being fucked up, and everybody was like, oh. And most people were like, shit, well, we should cancel her. And I'm over here like, what if we, instead of canceling them, we talk to Amber Heard and explain to her that she needs to do something that can help her change her actions?
Right, or fucking, like, we could have an adult discussion about the whole thing, like, as society looking at it, because, like, that's a really prevalent thing. Excuse me, I'm real snifflish.
That's fine, it's allergy season.
It's awful. But, like, that's a really good point, because people don't talk about the fact that men get abused as well, and that it does happen. And while I understand entirely why...
Yeah, we are not men's rights activists.
Exactly,
yeah.
It does make sense as to why, like, you would... What could you say? You spoke to the... Are we recording this?
We are now, yeah.
Okay, we're starting, I guess.
We set back like we were ready to do something.
Like we're just kind of into it at this moment.
Yeah, we're talking.
Welcome to the podcast. It's this week now.
I'm dead.
Aye. There's the cut. There's the whole thing. That's where that's gonna go. So, again, what I was saying is
that sick ass vaporwave.
What's
What's that guy who made it?
Technoax.
I love you.
Yeah, he's awesome.
You made some great stuff. My kids
fantastic.
love it.
And it says on this thing
the kids love it.
All his stuff is free to use. He just makes cool music for people to use.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, he's a really cool dude.
I was thinking about doing that with my crap.
Yeah, we should. You should.
Just letting people use it.
Yeah. There's a really cool song that I use for my live shows for a while, and I used it for my outros for a moment, like just like for really old videos that nobody can see anymore. And it got copyright claimed. Yeah. And I wrote to the guy and I was like, hey dude, I'm so sorry, I didn't realize, you have free to use on all your stuff. I didn't realize it was copyright claimed, whatever. What can I do to make this right? Can I pay you? Something like that. And he was like, oh no, you're free to use any of my music except for that one song that I made, because that one song uses a sample of some other song, and so you need to write to that dude's fucking record label and get the license to use this remix that I made using that one sample. Like, fuck.
That's really weird. They're finally fucking coming down on samples.
It's crazy.
That's bullshit.
Yeah, because
I mean, they did it. That when hip hop was growing, there was
a
huge like argument about sampling, because they were like they're. And here's the thing. Some of those samples, like from the 80s and 90s and hip hop tracks, were like, it's some of the most beautiful like pieces of music.
Yeah.
And it's just the melody and shit, because they're taking classic music they listened to growing up, and then they're like putting it to a beat and remixing it.
Yeah.
Taking certain parts that convey an emotion and playing it over and over again so it's in the background. Like it's there's an art to it, and I really love it, and I want to learn how to do it. So like, I don't think we need to fucking stop sampling. No. You go fuck yourself.
It's the same thing.
I understand that copyright law exists for a reason.
Right.
So, like...
It's no different than, like, the whole fair use thing. Like, I do commentary stuff on my YouTube where I, like, do reactions and stuff. And, like, the only reason I'm allowed to do that is because I'm not just playing their shit. I'm talking about it. I'm using snippets of it. I'm adding to it.
It's under fair use.
Yeah, exactly. And so I don't see the difference wholly in between that and sampling, because like you are making something new out of this. You're not just
it's not a cover.
Song.
It's you're borrowing a snippet and you're usually editing it so it sounds completely different.
Right.
But the original structure is still there, and I don't know. I hear snippets of songs all the time, and I'm like, oh, you throw that on a loop, that'd be pretty cool.
Right.
Yeah. So it's like.
But no, that's I don't know. I get people want to make money. It's just for me,
they have to.
Yeah, it's hard because like I'm all about do more things and use more things. But then again, it does. I don't know. I don't even talk about sampling. Like people steal my videos from time to time, so like that's frustrating. But if people like were to use a little snippet of my video and build off it, I wouldn't care. I don't know, man. It's just a whole thing. The point, what we were talking about is that men also are abused from time to time, and like people tend to fucking like, and I understand why. We tend to immediately assume the worst when a man is accused of something, and then we immediately give the benefit of the doubt when a man is making the accusation. You know what I mean? And like it's because of the same toxic masculinity that is the reason why we assume the worst when men are accused of something. Is that like we have this toxic culture, which it is a rape culture, where like we're allowed to do whatever we want, and
it sucks too, because people get this thing conflated and they get confused and they get angry because like a lot of people are masculine, and you start saying, oh, toxic masculinity, they're like, so you're saying that me being a man is like a problem.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, no, I'm saying the way we raise men is a problem.
Exactly.
And even a lot of like really masculine people even understand that these days.
Yeah.
But it's still heavily embedded in our culture. Like it sucks because what it just creates more and more divides between people. If you compartmentalize like, oh, this is a man and this is not a man.
Yeah.
This is a woman and this is not a woman, which I think kind of nicely ties into something we've talked about before, which is the whole like, you know, how we view people and how more even further like how I want people to view me.
Yeah.
Or at least how I wish I could see how people view me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I could know who to fuck with and who not to. You know, like not like.
I think we talked about this before, but like in case we haven't, I remember there was a study done a little while ago where they talked to like college students and male college students, and they asked them like, hey, you know, would you ever rape somebody? You know, would you ever?
Yeah, we talked about this.
And they were like there's huge percentage of them were like, of course I would never. You know, fuck the people who said maybe. Like, god damn. But like, there's 90% of them were like, of course not. And then they were like, okay, so if a girl was like too drunk and she passed out, would you like fuck her limp body? And like 80% of them were like, totally.
Are we married?
Exactly. Yeah.
Are we married?
Or is that a thing?
No, but yeah, that's so 80%.
They don't even
80%.
I'm making that number up.
Okay.
It was a high number, but like it was a shockingly high number, especially compared to the people who said, "Of course, I would never rape somebody." And like that, the point of the whole thing was
that's rape.
Yeah, exactly. They didn't realize that was also rape. They were just like, "Well, of course, I'm allowed."
I guess maybe because I've always kind of viewed it as a point from like I've always just kind of understood that you needed consent.
Yeah.
Before anything happens,
yeah,
like it's kind of built in. I don't know,
right? But that's the thing, is like so many like I guess like there's this idea, maybe it's like this Hollywood romanticized idea that like not the lack of consent, but the lack of clear consent and like kind of implied consent and all these things is like really like what the sexy like, oh, I just knew that I had to, you know, she was gonna have me do these things and all this, and like. No,
it's like
I will stop and have you sign a contract first. I'll bring a lawyer into the bedroom. Like, hey,
but you know what I mean? Like, if two people are alone in an intimate moment, usually you can tell.
Yeah.
If you're not really communicating verbally, like, you know. And if somebody says stop, that's a pretty clear signal.
Exactly.
If somebody says, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
Please stop. Any of that shit. You quit.
Well, it's like...
You quit because if you're a good person, you don't want to do something that's going to make somebody uncomfortable.
Exactly.
And if they're your friend or something,
Precisely.
like, if you know this person in real life, it's like, dude, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But it still, I mean, fuck, it happens all the time.
But, like, that was the fucking, the whole, like, that I think the best analogy I've ever heard for it was, like, if I choose to give you $5... You know what I mean? You're not allowed to just reach in my purse and take $5 from me. You have to wait for me to say that I want to give it to you and then actually give it to you. If I say I'm going to give you $5, you are not entitled to it until I actually give it to you. If I'm about to give it to you and I change my mind and decide to keep it, you are not entitled to it. You can't just go and take it now. You know, like, it is until I have completed the whole action of my own accord that now that action is completed. And like, it's the same thing with sex.
Man.
If I'm halfway through it,
what
I'm
if
like,
she owes me $5?
Right? Well, there's also that.
No, I'm kidding. That's a negative attitude type I'm portraying there.
But
which
like
is that she owes me. I saved her from the Bowser. Now she's got to, you know.
Well, that's another thing. It's like the amount of people who I've heard say like, you know, she owes me something sexual. It's like, dude, fucking no, she doesn't. And again, you know, we're using all these. We keep saying she here, because that's the culture that we live in.
Damn, yeah.
But the whole reason we started this, we were talking about this whatever, Amber Heard?
Amber Heard and Johnny Depp.
Is that, this is a woman being very physically abusive. I don't know if she was sexually abusive. I don't know anything
I don't
about
think
this.
so. I know she was like, I'm pretty sure it was verbal. I'll have to look it back up.
Okay.
If I'm wrong, you correct me in the
by all
comments.
means.
It's fine.
We don't know anything about, I especially don't know anything about this.
I don't pay a ton attention to, like, what is it, E-News and shit.
Pop culture.
Yeah, like, I don't, but I do catch it. And when it's cases like that, I kind of listen.
Yeah.
All I know is that he was being accused a lot, and then it turned out that she was the one that was doing the abuse. I know it was verbal and like mental, and I think it got physical. I don't think there's any sexual abuse.
Right. Who is the guy? It's not Tyler Perry. Terry Crews. Terry Crews was sexually assaulted.
Terry Crews was, and he had a very emotional, heartfelt speech about it.
Yeah, it was a powerful, and he gets up and speaks. I think he spoke to Congress about it at one point.
That's a big deal too, because Terry Crews is a big, huge, strong, muscly man who is that. He is a good, he's a fucking strong, tough guy.
Yeah,
and he is very masculine. And for him to come out and like honestly talk about that, as a human being,
but like the response he got. The amount of people who shamed him and put him down or like, you should just toughen up, be a man, but why didn't you beat somebody's ass? Why did you put...
fuck every one of you.
Yeah, exactly. That's awful. That's awful. Who's that woman?
He did the right thing. He drew attention to it.
Exactly. That's exactly
he came out as a strong person with a platform and said, I'm not going to stand for this.
Precisely. And like, that's so hard to do. And like,
especially
I say as if I know it.
Yeah, but it is. In a society like that, like a Hollywood, quote unquote, like, fucking you're around a lot of fakeness all the time.
Yeah.
It's very hard for those people to be sincere and shit. Like,
and I imagine it's very easy to get blacklisted just
speaking
out against the wrong person.
Oh, yeah. This guy well, look at what happened with the people who, look how hard it was for people to get rid of Weinstein.
Yeah.
Berg. That's a different guy. Well, Weinstein. Yeah, Harvey Weinstein. Like, it was a big deal. And up until he was actually in court, the dude was acting like it was going to blow over.
Right, because that was expected. Yeah.
Because that's what always happened before.
And that's been so many times. Like, the guy from Fox News, the old gremlin fucking... The Goblin King that ran Fox News that all the women came out and spoke against. I can't remember his name. Braggs? Something like that.
Bogans.
Vogon. It's the fucking
Read
mythical
poetry.
Creature. The fucking there's so many people.
They're aliens.
The Vogons, yes, they are aliens. Well,
you're thinking a unicorn.
There's so many people came out and spoke out against these people, and they're just like, all right, you're just the next one to do this. You're correct. I'll just sit here for 3 months and then I'll get back to work because that's how it's always worked. And it's like now, especially with like the Me Too movement a few years ago really getting speed, like we're able to actually take these things seriously, and that's so fucking cool. And like it blows because the whole point that I was trying to make a long time ago, I know we're on something totally different.
No, that's fine. Make your point.
The whole thing is that
people
like,
love us
right.
when we ramble for no reason.
The toxic masculinity is painful for everybody. It hurts everybody. It causes these rapes and these abuses to happen to women, but like the first victims are always us because we fuck ourselves up, we destroy our own minds, we destroy our ability to have emotions and to express emotions, and then we become fucking evil rapists. And when rape and assault and abuse and all these things happen to us, because they're gonna happen in both directions at a small rate, but when these things happen to us, we can't fix them. We can't talk about them. We can't heal from them. We can't seek justice for them because then we're bitches. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like...
No, I do know what you mean.
It's more than a double-edged sword. You know what I mean?
There's like a safe in my head filled with shit that I just usually don't talk about.
Yeah. And like I'm very lucky to have a partner who's incredibly, supportive and open, and like I know that I'm able to talk about anything. I know that I'm allowed to talk about anything.
You still find it hard.
It's very hard. It's very hard.
That's how it is with my wife. Like I know that she would listen to me talk about all the things that happened in my childhood and stuff, because I've sat and listened to her and helped her. But I just don't do it as much because it's like, oh, that's in the past. It doesn't affect me now, which is bullshit.
Right.
It's a bullshit lie I tell myself so I can pretend that I'm a tough, strong man and I get through the day. Problem with that is I'm not really that.
Yeah.
Kind of fucking effeminate sometimes.
Yeah.
Not always.
Yeah, no, that makes
But
sense.
like I tend to be like kind of fluid in my personality.
Oh,
And like and just even describing it that way is something that I've only been able to do in the past year.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's the thing. Like I've talked to.
I didn't have words to describe myself before, and that's blowing my mind.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like when
I still can't
like,
really talk about it, but like
no, I get it because like that's the you hit the nail on the head where it's like I don't even know where to begin expressing how I feel, and it's like it's not that I don't know how I feel. Sometimes I kind of don't. It's just like it's because I don't have a way to phrase this, to express this. I know what I'm feeling. I just don't know what it's called, and I feel like a baby.
Well, it comes back to how people look at you. If I talk about a lot of these things and actually show my true self and say this is who I am,
Yeah.
other people who I care about, people I respect, people I want to talk to,
Yeah.
people I want to continue to have a friendship/relationship with, are not gonna see me the same way.
Precisely. Yeah.
I know it.
Yeah.
You just know, and so I would rather just not.
And it's like if you have to have the same one emotion of like stoic kind of general, just I am okay, I am happy.
Yeah.
And it's like if you do anything else, well, now everything is tarnished. Instead of saying like, hey, I am a multicolored interesting thing with lots of facets and sides, like, no, I am this now, and I am always this.
And then when I go home, I am this.
Exactly. Yeah. I am work Forrest. I am anger Forrest. I am normal Forrest. I am busy Forrest. And it's like
Horny Forrest.
be,
He's back again.
There'd be so many other facets, and it's weird. I don't know, because like I don't know. I am a very stoic person, and like that's a big part of my philosophy. And like, but that has to do with like the external world and like handling reality and like, yeah, about handling emotion, but you're not supposed to not have emotions. It's just like avoiding emotional extremes.
Yeah.
But it's about avoiding emotional extremes because shit happens. You know what I mean? Like, don't get so furious that the world exists.
Yeah.
You know, something, your car broke down. Don't have a fucking meltdown because you're mad about it. Just, that's the situation. You have no control over the situation. There's no reason to be mad. But like, so I don't mean to say stoic and have people think that I'm just like, I have shut down all of my feelings, because that's not healthy either. But like, I don't know, man. I don't think that I'm ever at risk of like blowing up, or like, I don't think I'm bottling anything. I
don't think I'm at risk of blowing up. I am bottling shit though. Yeah. For sure. And I know a lot of people are, and that sucks. It's getting better.
It's hard to say because like I like I said, I don't think I don't know. Maybe I am, and I don't even realize it.
That's fine. What are you even talking about?
I don't know.
Just maybe there's parts of you just don't know yet.
That's terrifying to think about.
There are though,
for sure. There's you look at like the old Greek tragedies, like
it took me 30 years to like start to figure out what.
Yeah, starting to figure things out. Yeah, that's what I was saying. I feel like a fucking baby because you like. Sometimes little kids, you have to teach them emotional regulation. They're not screaming and throwing a tantrum because they're just bad kids. They are feeling big emotions and they don't know what to do about them, and it's scary. And like that's why they're freaking out right now. You know what I mean? And like I feel that way at 29. It's like I have this big emotion. I don't know what to do with it. I don't know what it's called. So I guess I'm just gonna sit here and continue working.
Yeah, like, well, and I think your case is probably very similar to mine in the sense that we learn to control ourselves pretty much on our own.
Yeah.
My family wasn't helping with that. My family would always get in these screaming matches and stuff like that. So I grew up learning to do that. That's how we solve problems. We scream at each other. Mm-hmm. I still have a problem where there's like a switch in my brain. If it gets flipped in the middle of an argument, now I'm an insane person. I can't be reasoned with. So I work on that a lot. I work a lot on like trying to like when that anger hits, my brain flips. Yeah. I try to like remember who I am and stop. Yeah. Because I'm not this person that I'm about to turn into, and it's terrifying. Right. Because he's an insane person. He throws shit. He doesn't care if he breaks everything in the house. He doesn't really want to touch people, but things are free game. It's like, I paid for the, you know, it's like, and it's stupid, because then if I do something, I break something, now whenever I calm down, I'm normal Ben again. And it's like, you piece of shit. Why'd you do this, man? So I work really hard to try to control that aspect. But that anger comes from years of watching it happen.
Precisely. Yeah.
So, like, that's what they did. And then when they were done yelling and everybody got the adrenaline out, they'd all come apologize. And they're like, sometimes you gotta have a fight. And it's like, no, you don't actually.
Yes.
That's what I found out, is that you don't. Sometimes you need to have a discussion.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're too angry and you need to say, hey, we're too angry, let's come back to this.
Yeah, and that's such a powerful thing to be able to do as well.
It is, and it's hard for people, especially if you're a couple, it's hard to fucking stop and say, hey, I know we're both really emotional and passionate about what we're talking about.
Yep.
We need to come back to this in like an hour or something.
Yeah.
It's super hard because you want to deal with it now, but right now you're not dealing with it. You're just usually like blaming each other or accusing people. It doesn't. It's just stupid.
It hurts somebody's feelings.
Yeah, there's no progress.
Yeah,
you're hurting and you don't know why, so you're taking it out on somebody else. You want them to hurt.
And that's another thing, is that like people talk about arguments, especially in relationships, and they're like, oh, I want to win the argument. Why? That's not the point of it. It's I want to get through this problem together and find a solution. If you're talking about winning, well, then you're saying you want your loved one to lose, is what you're saying. I don't want my loved one to lose. I want us both to win. That's the point of us being together. So, like, I'm never trying to win an argument. I'm trying to have a discussion, figure out what the problem is, figure out how we can make sure this problem doesn't happen again. How can we both be happy? And then continue on snuggling and playing Hearthstone. That's what I want to get back to. I don't want to be here in the
argument. And
also,
you know what I mean? As cool as your parents might be, you got to detach yourself from the unrealistic expectations of your spouse being the same as your parents' relationship. Like, it's not going to work the same. The dynamic will be different.
Oh my God, that's one of the reasons I was so hesitant for so long to get into any kind of relationship.
Because you go for your mom. That's what they say. You always go for your mom.
I don't think I would. I've never, had a good familial relationship in front of me, you know what I mean?
It's terrifying.
And so it's like I don't know, man. It's just like it's what I'm terrified about is that, like, you talked about some other part of you or whatever like that. When you look at the old Greek tragedies like Oedipus and whatnot, there's a common theme. It's anagnorisis and peripety are the two things. Anagnorisis is discovery. It literally means out of ignorance, stopping ignorance. And so you're learning something new. You're discovering some truth about the world. So in Oedipus, he's discovering that hot lady he's been shacking up with is his mom. Like we talked about, and then peripety is the same concept, but it's yourself. You're discovering something new about yourself. You come face to face with who you really are this whole time, and it's a bad thing. And so, like, peripety is when you realize you're not as good of a person as you thought. Or you actually, you would do something horrible because you're in a moment where you do something horrible and you can't believe what you've done and like it, but that's clearly what you're cool with at that time. So, like, whatever, like that's what
a lot of the vets from World War II, like, fighting on the islands in Japan and stuff, because the Japanese did such horrible shit.
Yeah.
So our soldiers became just as horrible as the Japanese.
In order to survive, yeah.
Yeah, which sucked, because then they came back here and people are like, do you want a cookie? And they're like, I killed 100 Japanese men. And it's like, it's scary, because they're not usually like happy about it. It's
right.
It's like, I did some really horrible shit because I saw my buddy.
Yeah.
I saw what they did to my friend. Yeah. And they were doing bad shit. They were doing disrespectful shit. They were doing stuff like cutting soldiers' stuff off and putting it in their mouths and leaving them in a pile for the next troops to find. And stuff like, so of course you see a bunch of bodies like that. Mm-hmm. Like, it's a quote. I got it from another podcast, but there's a quote. One of the guys said, yeah, we didn't take any bodies after that, or we didn't take any prisoners after that. Yeah. And it's like, and that sucks, but I can tell you I would be feeling the same way.
It's hard to say that I wouldn't. And, like, that's, like, I'm super duper against torture. I think that torture is a horrible thing.
Yeah.
If somebody was, had kidnapped my lady and was hurt,
would you stop at anything?
No, I would make sure that person hurt very badly until they told me what I wanted to know, and then I would probably continue making sure they hurt very badly. Like, that's the thing. And, like, I same thing with murder. I don't think that killing anybody is a good thing to do. I don't think anybody has the right to take the life of anybody else. But if someone is trying to hurt me or kill me, I'm going to kill them first. That's just the end. Because at the end of the day, I don't have any, like...
I don't want to die.
Right. I don't have any fantasy that I'm going to, like, tell this person to stop and we're going to have a discussion and then we're going to go to court and we're going to settle this. No, you are trying to kill me. I'm not going to wait to figure out whether you're serious. I'm not going to wait to figure out whether... It's the same thing as someone trying to fight me. If someone gets into a fist fight with me, you are clearly not caring at all about my safety. I know how fragile the human brain is. I'm going to assume you're going to try to kill me, and I'm going to make sure you stop moving. If that ends up in you dying, that's because you started this, and I'm sorry, it's not my fucking problem anymore. You break into my house, I'm not protecting my property, but I don't fucking care. Take my TV. Who gives a shit? But, like, if you're breaking into my house with me in it, I'm not going to be like, hey, do you have a gun? Are you intending to hurt me? Would you tie me up to get the TV, or do you just want it? Because I'll give it... No, I'm going to fucking kill you because you're clearly here to hurt me or something, and if you're not, you should have clarified, really. Like, and so, like, that's the thing. As much as I can sit here on my high horse and be like, oh, yeah, murder's wrong, I'd fucking do it if it meant that I or someone that I loved or someone else who was innocent survived. Like, that's the end of it. Like,
that's tough, man. That whole situation with like somebody robbing somebody always makes me uncomfortable, especially when we take that to another example, which is like somebody robbing a small store or something.
Yeah,
like a gas station, and they get shot, and you always have half the comments are like, "You shouldn't do it," and half the comments are like, "Get him."
Yeah,
and it really me. I always fall kind of in the middle because I see both points of view. Somebody comes into your store, that's your property. You're trying to protect your bottom line.
Yeah.
Sounds fucked up, but it's true.
It makes sense.
Especially if you're like a little business. You put a lot of time, effort, and money into that.
That could ruin your whole life, yeah.
Yeah. So, and you don't want to die.
Yeah.
That comes into it too. There's a huge amount of fear and adrenaline in you at that moment. If you keep a gun under the counter, you pick it up, you shoot somebody. Did that guy, that 19-year-old kid who went to go rob a small store, did he deserve to be shot to death for it?
Well, see, that's the thing.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
But does the person who did the shooting deserve to be treated like shit because they defended themselves and their property? I don't think so.
See, and that's such an important distinction because you're right. We really do only see both sides. Like, you should never, ever shoot somebody versus, get that bastard. He did the... And it's like, no, I agree that you should have shot him, but also that's a horrible thing to have to do. And I'm so sorry that you had to do that, as well as I'm so sorry this person is dead. Yeah, exactly.
They have family. Just because they're a criminal doesn't mean nobody fucking cares about
exactly.
It. It's sad.
That criminal had, somebody who loved them, somebody who picked him up.
I understand the point of view, which is a lot of people will say, like, you didn't have to kill him. It's a fucking, it's a product.
Yeah.
Is it worth somebody's life? And the answer is no.
Yeah. No.
It really is no. And if I was in that situation, I would hope that I would be able to somehow point the gun at them and scare them enough to just get them to leave.
Right. But
I don't know if that's going to happen.
How many people have been killed for their shoes? Like, that happens all the fucking time. That somebody murders somebody, they're on the ground with a full wallet and a nice watch, and they took their fucking shoes and left.
How many times does that happen?
More than you think. Dude, I had a math professor once that was almost killed. He was here in Tulsa. When he was like, I think 18, 19, he was shot because there was a gang in North Tulsa, and they're hazing to get new people, and you had to kill a pizza guy. And so he delivers a pizza. That was his job. And they just opened the door, shot him 4 times, and shut the door and left him for dead on the fucking ground. And like it was just a trap house. They left, but like they just left him there to die. He survived, and he's like, why? And they're like, oh yeah, that's just what they do. That's just your life was just the next thing they had to do. It meant nothing. They didn't rob him. They didn't do anything. They just, I have to kill this person. And like, that's the reality of some shit. So like, you're right. No property's worth it, but also I'm not going to stop to check and be
That's
like, "Hey."
Even more sad because these are fucking probably some kids too who are
exactly.
like less than 25.
Exactly. Those kids were probably if not the same age as him, younger than him, because he was late 18. But like it's just. I'm not going to fucking stop and check with you. Like, hey, can we have a discussion about this? Do you just want are you just wanting the money? That's cool. I can give you the money if you'd like. But of course I'm going to try that. But if I have the option, if you're pointing a gun at me, I'm going to assume you intend to use it, and I'm going to beat you to it. That's the way I'm forced to see it. And like, it is an awful situation for everybody. Nobody's happy about that. I'm not like, fuck yeah, man, I've got my guns, No,
what a bummer, dude.
What a horrible thing to have to do. I don't want to have to do that. I don't fantasize about it. I don't relish the idea.
Yeah, so when I was younger, I used to get violent fantasies more often, frequently, especially about like bullies and shit. Like, I would do to him if I had the superpower. And like, that's gone pretty much. I don't get those types of fantasies anymore at all. I get more fantasies about like, it's kind of back to what it was like when I was 7.
Yeah.
Which is, I used to have like fantasies about me being like on a stage and talking to a crowd of people. And
Yeah.
they were all happy and I was telling them something fun. And like, it was always something like, I don't know, like maybe I was like showing off a game at E3 or something that my company made.
Yeah.
Some stupid shit like that where I was just happy.
Yeah.
And I was like, what's this place that I feel like I'll never get to? And I would just think about it.
Yeah.
And like, and that's why I'm stuck this way.
Yeah.
So
you're preaching to the choir. I used to make like fucking my dad used to get me these science kits, and I would do all the science kit experiments and lay them out and like make a museum, and I would just tour the museum and like give tours to nobody and like explain. And then I also used to do oh my god, I almost just puked.
Did I ever tell you how go finish your story, but I want to tell you how I almost lost my passion for science.
I also used to fucking record. I had a tape recorder, and I would
did
record
that.
myself teaching about whatever.
That's
and listen
awesome.
to it
I did
later.
radio shows.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would record with like my nephew or my friends. We would act like we were radio hosts, and then switch it over to FM and record like a song, and then fucking take it off and do another like skit or something.
I used to go catch neighborhood.
And then make my mom listen to it
Oh,
like
hell
5
yeah.
times.
I used to go catch neighborhood cats and things and fucking teach about them, about the wildlife biology.
That story could have gone a completely different direction.
I used to go catch neighborhood cats and eat them.
Usually when somebody says, yeah, he used to catch cats in the neighborhood, that dude's a serial killer.
I only broke like 2, maybe 3 cat necks. I just wanted to show how easy it was to break a cat neck.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, my allergies.
It's awful today. You alright?
Yeah. But it just reminds me, like, 1 second.
Oh yeah, no. Cough over there. Put that on the internet.
They love it.
People at home like that. Yes! Yes! They're coughing!
Cough again!
Do it!
Call it. God damn it.
We're old.
It's just like a little cough, too.
It's just that tickle in your throat that won't go away.
Yeah, for no reason. I bet if I hit this, it'll go away, but I don't want to do it. But what I was saying is, I had a teacher, I had a math teacher it was probably like 5th or 6th grade.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't doing very well in math, which sucked. But I loved science, and I always said I loved science, and I talked about how much I love science to kids and teachers all the time, until I learned to not talk to people.
Yeah.
And so that was amazing. But so I was like, I love science. I watch Nova like every Sunday, And she's like, well, you're not very good at math, and there's a lot of science in math. So you need to. And I think she was probably trying to say you need to work better at math. You need to work on your math.
Yeah.
But the way it came out and the way it hit me was,
You'll never.
You're not good at math, so you can't do science.
Yeah.
And like, and I don't. There's no way she meant that.
Right.
Because I wasn't that annoying. But it like had an effect on me, and it's stupid how little shit will change your life.
It seriously will, and like I did the same thing to myself. I used to be really bad at math, and it was just because I just didn't get the rules, and like because it was always just explained to me as like you do this, and then this is the number, and like it's just here's the formula, memorize the formula, do it this way, and like
it just takes a lot of explanation for me to understand math.
Well,
once I get it, I do get it.
Dude, we took Algebra 1. That's where Ben and I met, was in remedial algebra class. Because we were in
it was remedial. Yeah.
We were in so I took Algebra 1 in 6th grade, took it again in 7th grade, took it again in 8th grade, took it again in 9th grade, where I met Ben in the fucking 3rd year remedial, you still can't figure this out yet, you idiot math class. Took it again, and when we went to the alternative academy, they had the curriculum was the same, but the teacher was better, so like we got through it, but then I forgot all of it because it was just like I was having that special attention to get through it, but it wasn't like still wasn't getting it.
She was good. She did help me a lot.
Yeah, Blamirez.
Don't put the names on there.
That's not her name anymore.
Technically, the way you said it was never her name, so
that's true. That's just what we called her. But
Blamirez, I want your badge and your gun on my desk next morning.
Quit showing me your belly button.
One time I finally like said that to her enough that she like I said the thing about that. I called her like yelled Blamirez and told her she was a loose cannon and she needed to be stopped. I did it one time and she was like, you know what? Go see the principal. And I was like, damn it, Blamirez! And I left. She was like, don't swear in my class. She was nice though.
I kept telling
she was
the
a very
freshmen
nice lady.
to show her their belly buttons.
A lot of people didn't like her, and I think she was fine.
Oh, she was great.
She was.
But they didn't like her because she was a math teacher. Is all.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, she didn't have a problem. There was one kid who was a dick to her for no freaking reason. Like, you're just insufferable. I'm like, she's fucking very nice. Calm down.
Yeah. What are you talking about?
I kept telling the freshmen to show her their belly buttons.
Yeah.
If ever Blamirez is mad at you, just lift up your shirt a little bit, show her your belly button. She'll calm right down. I just kept telling kids to do that. And it's like, why is everyone showing me their belly button? Boris, did you?
We were not good people.
No, we were the best.
We were like good kids, but we did like old school dumb shit.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
like we were like fucking. Leave it to Beaver or whatever.
Yeah.
What is he called? Dennis the Menace.
Yeah. Leave it to Menace. Dennis the Beaver.
Leave it to Dennis Beaver. Leave it with the Beaver. Leaving with a beaver.
What?
Going home with the beaver.
The fucking
dropping the beaver off and giving it a kiss goodnight because it's a little bit too tired. It's a book series.
It's only getting weirder.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Fucking,
it's a personality
what
trait.
were we talking about with all of this? How do we get on this? Damn it. Blamirez, you fucked us up again.
We were talking about
you're no good.
Well, this whole episode has been about like exploring yourself, I think, and realizing that we all have a darkness.
You know what's funny?
Some people don't, I guess.
I think everybody does, and like that's actually I've talked to a lot of people who do like meditation, because mindfulness is really important, but like actual meditation where you just sit down and try to just clear your mind out and just be for a minute. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you don't pick it up in a week.
Exactly. Yeah.
It literally takes like years.
The analogy that I always used was like it's like a monkey, and you're asking the monkey to just like sit down on a chair, and the monkey's gonna bounce around the room, and sometimes it might bounce off the chair, but it's really just bouncing around the room. But like if you try to force the monkey to sit down on the chair, it's going to struggle really hard and fight and be violent and get up and bounce around the room more and associate sitting down with a bad thing. But like if you gently just kind of over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, just gently show the monkey the chair and kind of coax it down, pretty soon it'll sit down for a minute. And then they'll sit down for a little while longer next time, and pretty soon it might actually enjoy sitting down on the chair and just enjoy. And that's what meditation is. You're not forcing your mind to stop. You're just noticing that you're having a thought. Okay, there it is, and you don't interact with it. They're like bubbles passing by. You can touch the bubbles, or you can just let them float on by.
It's hard.
And you just let the thoughts
so
go.
Hard.
And you let your mind just sit down for a minute. And nobody stops thinking. There are some people like, I can go 20 minutes without thinking a single thought. No, you fucking can't. That nobody can do that. You just don't interact with the next thought. And you just kind of just let it be.
You just let it pass.
Let your mind be. I have seriously, I have had extreme anxiety that went on for fucking months. Like, constant. And I was like, just one day, like, I'm just going to try to meditate and just calm the fuck down. And it was really scary going into it. Like, what if I just hyper focus on this? And just doing that, just letting thoughts just go for a second. Just like, okay, it's like a fucking a river.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there's a little stream here, and there's a bundle of shit that's all your problems, and it's floating by. You can grab it, or you can just let it float on by, and maybe it'll get caught up on something down there. You can always go back and find it. It's not going anywhere. It's fine.
Yeah.
You can get it later. Just for now, it's not going to hurt anything.
Yeah.
Just let it go. And it, just stopped. I had such bad anxious cycle for, over a month. And just, all of a sudden, it's like I hit the reset button. And it's just like, oh, I'm actually fucking fine. And I'm not saying this is a cure. I don't think I'm giving anybody any advice. But,
meditation is proven to be good for you.
It's shocking how helpful it is. And but the big thing that a lot of people struggle with is they encounter really horrible dark thoughts when they do that.
Yeah.
And they're they encounter the dark side of their own mind, and they're like, oh my god, maybe I'm actually this horrible evil person. You have that peripety. But the truth is, everybody has that.
I read a really interesting book. It was about Buddhism.
Uh-huh.
And it went in depth about some of Buddha's teachings. Siddhartha? What do I get?
Siddhartha is Buddha.
Yeah, he is the Buddha, right?
Yeah, you can also, the Tathagata, or there's a whole bunch of different ones. Yeah.
The guy, yeah. The guy in his teaching is one of the things that he talks about, and one of the things Buddhism later, more fucking people would elaborate on more, make it more deep, But basically, like this concept of like you have demons, right? You have demons in your head. Like demons is a term I'm using. I don't actually think there's demons in my head, although. But so you have these things floating around, the thoughts, the dark thoughts, the dark sides of yourself. And the idea in the book was that you people want to go fight their demons. The book is saying you don't fight your demons, you try to learn to talk to them.
Yeah.
Because they have skills you need or some shit like that. Like these parts of your mind, like you might need them for something.
Yeah.
So you try to learn what it is that thing wants and why it's that way, and you try to deal with the thoughts and the pain.
Yeah.
And focus it into something that becomes a tool for you.
That was something that helped me out a lot when I stopped thinking about like all these negative emotions I have and all this
and
anxiety.
I'm not there yet, but that book helped me a lot.
Yeah. All these.
I'm not religious, but like you can get a lot from some of these.
Well, Buddhism isn't supposed to be a religion anyway.
It's supposed to be more. Well, they've kind of turned it into a religion at this point.
But like, there's a whole thing like when it helped me a lot when I started thinking about all these negative emotions I have and all this anxiety and depression and dread and fear and all these things that irk me and fuck with me most of the time. I just realized that this isn't something that I'm trying to abate or fight off. This is a part of me. It's a very hurt, very scared part of me, probably from my childhood.
It is you.
It is exactly. It's me. And so like, rather than trying to fight this thing off and beat it down and hurt it worse, just like giving that part of me a hug. You know what I mean? And like, because that's what it needed the whole time. And that's more important, and like that's okay too. You know what I mean?
It's insane. The more I think about the mind and how people are, the more I'm like, is everybody kind of schizophrenic? Yeah, like, and I'm not making fun of like mental illness at all, because I would hate to actually have schizophrenia.
You mean like the colloquial version of schizophrenia?
Yeah, the way people use it for funsies.
Yeah,
fucking assholes. But like it is like people. I think most people have more than two sides.
Yeah,
and it's all compartmentalized, and we shove them down.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's insane. Like I'm finding out I have a lot of sides to me. Like I'm not like one way or the other with a lot of things. I'm a little bit of both.
That's so important, is that like we popularize this idea that everybody is just this one kind of person that feels this one kind of way, and you can just type them into like whatever category. Okay, so they think this and this, therefore they're gonna do these things too. They're gonna believe. And it's like, even like there are things that I have conflicting opinions on, where I don't know what I feel about it, where I haven't thought about it enough, where like I actually have two very different opinions that are the same at the same. Not to say like contradictory, but sometimes it is contradictory. Not logically contradictory is what I'm saying. Yeah. Like just like I feel good and bad about something. I feel like supportive and also not supportive. Supportive in a way, and there's not a word for like that. That's
I'm
real.
an interesting person in the sense that like like when like let's say like when Donald Trump had COVID, like I laughed. I also said I hope he doesn't die.
Yeah.
and it's like not because I really give a shit about like any president, but like it's because I just don't want to see people die from fucking COVID, no matter how horrible they are. These unvaccinated people who are like dying in mass right now because they wouldn't get the vaccine.
Yeah.
I am not happy about it.
Yeah.
I see people making comments. And they're like, haha, that's what you get. They did the same thing when we first went on with this. Whenever they noticed, like, oh, it's all the like red states not wearing masks, so fuck and stuff. And like, and they like to put these colored maps up and show you this half of America and this half of America, and it's such bullshit to me because there are not two halves of America, just like there are not two people in your head.
Exactly.
There's a lot of people, and they're all fucking different.
And the more we put this two half shit out there, the more that it actually becomes that. True, and the more people like really try to say, oh, I'm in this half, so I'm going to do all of the things that this half does and not think about any of them. And it's like,
that's how you get ants.
It's how you get ants. And it's hard because it's especially just speaking about COVID, compassion fatigue is a real thing. Yeah. Like you get tired of being so scared and so upset all the time and like hurting and like you exactly. When a few 1,000 people had died of COVID, I was devastated. I remember seeing those trucks full of bodies and shit, and I was like, fuck, this is fucking horrifying. This is awful. I still feel awful that people are dying, but now these people that are these avid anti-maskers and anti-vaxxers and everything, and they're dying, I'm not cheering, but I'm like, fuck, dude.
Yeah, it's like that's what you got. Like
you wanted it this way,
but I don't want to say it like that.
Exactly.
Because I still see them as a person who's
right.
suffering.
I'm not fucking throwing a parade over it. I'm not happy about it. It's just hard for me to feel any kind of way.
There's people I have fantasies about murdering in this world. Only a couple, but they're there, right?
Yeah.
And after I just said I don't have violent fantasies anymore, there's at least one person who I do sometimes think about. Wouldn't that be fun?
Right.
And like, but even then, even still, I don't want that person to die like cancer or something.
Right.
You know, like I don't want them to have a horrible life.
And you hear about COVID. You hear about people starving in the other half of the world. You feel about starving here. You hear about homelessness.
Yeah, like
and
it
poverty.
sucks. I don't like that. I don't like any of that shit.
You hear about fucking, the wildfire displaced a bunch of people. Climate change displaced a bunch of a war displaced a bunch of people.
It'll always be in the comments. Those two sides just bickering back and forth. And I go and I read them and I'm like, both of you are idiots.
Yeah. And what really sucks is that like I don't want to. I want to like I do agree with you that like both sides of these things tend to.
You can disagree with me.
Well, no. I'm saying I agree with you on the general principle. I just want to be clear that like I'm also not advocating for centrism, where it's like fucking you have Republicans over here.
Centrism. So centrism is go ahead and explain it real quick. And
I was gonna say like you have one side on like the far right that's over here saying like fucking we should be deporting like, all these people in cages and deporting people and let people die and let people fucking like starve and fuck you if you're on a drug or put them in prison and all this shit. It's horrible, really fucked up. And the other side is just like maybe we don't do all that. Like I think the old analogy is like I want to murder 1,000 people. Hey, let's not murder anybody. And then the centrist is like, come on, guys, we can sort it. Let's just murder some people. Like, no, I don't want to murder anybody. Okay, well you're just intolerant then. No, there's some of these beliefs on this far right side are so egregious. We don't fucking need to find a middle ground. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and like, that's fair. That's totally fair.
So when we talk about like COVID and everything, we don't need to find a middle ground between like this strong like everybody just gets COVID and dies now, and if you're weak, that's on you, liberal and we can say no. Actually, the good of everybody comes first. Like we can figure this out better.
We can say that, but it's really hard for people because, especially in a place like this where individualism is king.
Yeah,
supposed to be. Now I know we all sit in our little boxes and they check us off, but we're supposed to be individuals.
Right.
You're not allowed to be too individualistic. Is that right?
Something like that.
Individualism. But it sucks. Like there's, it's just one of those things. It's weird how people act. The dichotomy of America is like something I've watched only get worse in my life.
Yeah.
And it sucks. And I was gonna say something earlier about myself where I was gonna correct my past self, but I forgot what it was. Cool. It's just like I used to. No, I remember what it was. So I used to say like like with gender issues, gender roles, all encompassing gender issues.
Yeah.
Like from the spectrum of sexuality to I'm straight, bi, non-binary, all that stuff that I'm still learning about right now. So cut me some slack. I'm still trying to figure out what my thing is. But so it's all that stuff, and you had a lot of people, and you still do, a lot of people come out on this side and they say like, oh, well, why do we need to label people?
Yeah.
And they're using this as a shield to hide their bigotry.
Yeah.
And I find that really annoying because whenever I used to say, why do we have to label people? It wasn't coming from a place of bigotry. It was coming from a place of curiosity. Should we label people? Does anybody need to be labeled? Do we need these labels, or should we all just look at each other like people?
Yeah.
So I've changed that opinion now. It has to do with my own growth as a person and then just talking to more people. And now I realize that having these labels, like, yeah, of course nobody wants to say like, oh, I fit in this box and that's who I am. And that's not what they're doing. The labels help people who need those labels, who need something to latch onto to say, this is my identity. And like, I was trying to find it. I knew I had it. Now I have a word for it.
Yeah, it's not wrong to describe
And so I've
yourself.
changed my opinion on that. And I want to point that out. People can change their opinions.
Yeah.
Like, and I wasn't like ever malicious or bad about it. I just didn't understand. And once I understood, I went to the left on it.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm at. Like when I am centric, when I'm like centrist on an issue, if I'm in the middle, it usually means I'm waiting until I figure out enough to figure out which side I support. Now, it's almost always going to be the left because I just fucking can't stand those conservative ideas sometimes. But I have voted for a Republican in certain offices.
Yeah.
Like usually local elections. In a local election, there's been times when I've chosen the Republican over the Democrat just because of how they did. Now, in the last election, we went D all the way down.
Yeah, it was straight.
There was no thinking about it at all, almost. I did all my thinking beforehand. But normally, I do a lot of research beforehand. I study all the state questions.
Yeah.
Make sure I know what I'm voting on. Go in and I do it. I did study the state questions in this last one. But so it's like, it's important to have those boxes, and that's all I'm getting down to.
Yeah, no,
and it took
sense.
me a while to realize, and I think that's important, is that I did eventually realize, and I think some people will do that too.
Right. That's the thing.
But like, you shouldn't hide behind that shield of bigotry.
Right. We speak out against, like groupthink, but categorization is okay. You know what I mean? When you have a bunch of people like, I am this way, I am Democrat, Republican, gay, straight, whatever. I am in this box, therefore I do these things.
Yeah.
That's a problem. But if it's like, hey, I feel this way, so I'm going to call myself this name. That's super. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like you can pick anything else. It's like in science, we say, here's the data, so then we're going to build this theory. Not, well, we understand this theory, therefore we're going to go find data that says this.
Oh, it's like the pronouns, right? Like pronouns. A lot of people are pushing back on the pronoun thing, which is funny because in most cases you don't have to use it if you don't want to. It's completely open if you don't want to do it. If you do, then you can.
Right.
A lot of people are doing it to support their friends who are in the community.
I've heard that a lot. Like, even if you don't have any kind of different pronouns, you should still show your pronouns to, like, show support for people who do that as well.
A lot of people aren't doing it because the reason I haven't done it is because I don't want somebody to look at my social media and judge me based on that.
Yeah.
That's right now. Point. Now, eventually in my life, I won't give a fuck. But right now, I can't. I, like, sell products online and stuff for work. Right. And, like, I need to look like a normal dude.
See, it isn't that hard because when you say normal dude, you mean inoffensive in any direction. Just like
any direction.
Blanket, yeah. You don't mean normal as in hetero or
cisgender. Yeah. I mean, like, as androgynous as possible, almost.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, but that being said, because I live in Oklahoma, it is geared more towards, like, you need to look like a certain kind of normal.
Yeah.
And you need to talk like a man. And I don't have a problem with that because, like, I am essentially a man. And I do have a man side of me, that does man things and is fine with being a man. But then I also have this other side that's like, I like other stuff.
Who cares? Exactly. Yeah. And like that's the thing. I don't put my pronouns in my bios or anything like that simply because I present myself. I think, and I'm very honest about being a cisgendered, mostly straight man.
It's default. You're on default settings.
Exactly. I'm just dude. Exactly. And like. But when people ask me, I'm very quick to say, I go by he, him. I have no problem expressing that. And,
it's fine.
And like, I feel like in that way, I'm helping to kind of normalize the fact that you shouldn't have a problem with expressing that. But like,
you shouldn't, but a lot of people do. A lot of good people I know do. So, I mean, like, and that's the thing that sucks the most is a lot of good people are so embedded in the fucking culture. Mm-hmm. And then we're also taught that this is the culture. This is the right culture.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things.
It's I don't know, man. I want to talk more about labels and shit next time.
We will,
because like this is a fun one, and we kind of just landed on it. I wanted to talk about sexism and snow plowing.
You want to do that right now?
I mean, we have a couple of minutes.
Do you have enough time?
I can ramble through it. I was gonna transition to it because we were talking about labels and we weren't quite there at a point where it would be a natural transition.
Man, we might have to cut it.
Yeah.
But we'll put a pin in it because I have to go to work, guys. I'm sorry.
Next time though.
But we need to come back to this. I'll add it to the notes right now.
Yeah. Because like this is something that I wanted to. When we started talking about labels in general, and we're talking about gender especially, I wanted to get into feminism a little bit and talk about like how these gender things actually apply, and like so that's where my brain was. So we'll come back to that next time. Leave in the comments if you've ever tried fried Spam. You slice it, you fry it on like an old George Foreman grill that you never cleaned, and you just consume it in like a hot dog bun with some mustard.
You don't use a hot dog bun.
It's not bad.
You use toasted bread and you put a lettuce and a tomato slice on it.
You could do that too if you're a bougie bitch.
It's still Spam, Forrest.
Thanks so much for watching.
Government ham.
Have a great rest of your day. And I
don't think we have any announcements.
I don't think so. I'm running through my head seeing if there's anything else I'm forgetting here. I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll get back to you.
We'll next week, if we have an announcement for this week, we'll tell you next week.
Yeah, hopefully it's not too late.
Right. New Reacteria coming out very soon. That's one. And,
those are cool.
yeah, there is more, but it's not important. I'll see you later. Goodbye.
Bye. Have a great day.
Fucking don't.
You just always butcher the end.
Man, it's the worst part.
It's always about you butchering the end.
Goodbye. I'm so sorry.
I can't tell if this is like a persona.
I'm so sorry. I don't know. It's just.
Hi, I'm Asshole Forrest.
It's stupidity. It's not.
No, I love you, man. Don't feel bad.
It's cool.
You're not stupid.
Oh man.
Oh man.
Bye.
Bye. Cut it.
Right there.
Cut it.